here's the terrain. It's desert this time around. Fighting on the desert terrain here, so you've got the windswept rocks and craters and the scrub around. Real nice looking bit of terrain. It'll be a perfect one for the two armies that are clashing together today. Tyranids against Blood Angels. Two armies have never fought each other before, and they'll be fighting it out on this desert board. Right, welcome to our 1850 points clash. It's between Tyranids and Blood Angels. The two armies have never played each other before, and we're just going to run through the list now for James's Blood Angels here. So it's a Storm Raven gunship, heavy support, twin-linked las cannon, and twin-linked multi-melter. And inside there is the Death Company. There's two power weapons in there, and a Thunderhammer, and they're led by the Reclusiarch, that's James's Warlord, and then a Death Company Dreadnought as well, and then a second Storm Raven, same armament as before, and inside that is the Assault Terminators, four of them Storm Shields and Thunderhammers, and the Sergeant's got two power claws. And then a Furioso Dreadnought with the Frag Cannon. Another heavy support, that's the Predator Annihilator, and with a slight tweak to this list, he's dropped the Land Raider, and that 5-man unit is now in a Razorback. So it's two Razorback teams of Assault Marines, no upgrades, and then with the spare points from dropping the Land Raider, he's taken Sanguinary Guard. Not used them in the game before, and he's given them the Chapter Banner, so that's going to be an extra attack for all units within 12 and reroll morale and pinning checks. It's a handy unit. Be interesting to see how they perform in this game. So that's James's 1850 point force that will be playing against this Tyranid monster army. Right, this is the 1850 points force for the Tyranids. Slight adaptation from the last list that we used against the Imperial Guard. So we've kept the Hive Tyrant. He's got Lash Whip, Bone Sword, and the Stranglethorn Cannon, and then he's got two Hive Guard protecting him there, so that unit's back in. The Raveners did well last game, so they are in as well. And then the three heavy supports, the Carnifex Brood, two Carnifexes, and then the Trigon, and then the Morlock as well. And this is where the changes come in. We've dropped the Hormagaunts, gone for two units of Gaunts, and that means we've been able to take this Tervigon as a troops choice. So I've got three troops choices here. This monstrous creature, then these two units, and this will be breeding as well. And now with the spare points, we've been able to get a flyer. It's a winged Hive Tyrant. Be interesting to see how this one does. So we've got air power now. So that's the 1850 points list for the Tyranids. It's not a vast amount of infantry there, but there's a lot of high-powered monstrous creatures, and they've all got the regenerate special. All of these. This one, Tervigon, the three heavy supports, and the Hive Tyrant here. They're all on regenerate, so they'll regain wounds on rolls of a 6 each turn. So it's a fearsome army against a fearsome Blood Angels force. Going to be a lot of close combat as these two armies clash on this desert terrain. So we're going to move on now to deployment. Right, the scenario is Crusade, and deployment is Vanguard Strike. So we've divided the table across this way, the central line of dice running up there, and then the Tyranids are in this deployment zone, and then the Blood Angels in this deployment zone here. There are 4 objectives. There's one here for the Blood Angels behind the rocks, one over here, that's the second Blood Angel objective, and then coming around for the Tyranids, they have placed one here and then one here amongst the rocks. So it'll be in this zone here where the majority of the fighting is going to take place. Right, deployment then for the Blood Angels. They're in the corner of their deployment zone here, looking out across the table. So he's got the two Razorback teams set up there, the Dreadnought at the back, and then the Sanguinary Guard. And then the Storm Ravens will be coming on later in the game. So he's safe there. And then coming around, Tyranids have deployed here, two Carnifexes on the right, Hive Tyrant, 2 units of Gaunts, and then the Tervigon. And between us, there's a fair amount of cover, so there'll be cover saves for these monstrous creatures. And in reserve for the Tyranids is the Raveners. There'll be deep striking, and then the Trigon, deep striking, Morlock, deep striking, and then flying on from reserve will be the winged Hive Tyrant. In reserve for the Blood Angels is the two Storm Ravens, Death Company, and then the other Storm Raven with the Assault Terminators. So we're going to move on now to the first turn. James will go first, unless the Tyranids can steal the initiative. Right, just while James is moving, people often ask, well, how do you make your train? This is obviously my own custom train that I've made. The tiles are floor tiles that you can buy from your local hardware store, and then I have covered them in glue, like a carpet glue, high-tack glue. Then over the top of that is PVA glue, the wood glue, and then I put the sand and the flock on top of that and then highlight it. That gives me nice flat tiles. The craters, that's the Games Workshop's own craters that they make, and I've just created a base for them out of the floor tile. It's quite easy to cut, a nice flat surface, and then just finished it with PVA glue and sand and stones there, and then sprayed and highlighted, and then just inks used here and here just to create that depth effect there. And then the actual blasted rocks here that I've made, there's just columns of polystyrene stacked up, and then just it was a sandpaper bent in half, and then the angle used to chisel away and cut at the rocks to create that rocky effect, and then just pebbles and stones from the beach just glued in to make it more realistic looking. And that is how I did that. And then the base for that again is just the floor tiles just cut out to the shape that I want. And the good thing about the vinyl is in warm temperatures it will go reset itself back to flat. These were curved when I got them out of the box because they've been stored, and then the room's warm, they've gone back to flat again, so they always sit dead flat, which is a good thing about using the vinyl floor tiles. As I said, you can get them from your local store. They come in packs of about 12, packs of 6, packs of 8, and they work extremely well. So that's how we made this terrain, and also the Chaos Wasteland, the city terrain. You just spray the boards with whatever colour you want, highlight it up, and then stick the grass on there as extra bit of finish to it. And overall looks quite convincing as a desert board, so quite straightforward if you want to have a go at making that yourself. Right, turn 1 for the Blood Angels. Tyranids failed to steal the initiative, so James has gone first, and his Razorback teams have moved out along with the Predator moving in, and then behind them, protected, is the Sanguinary Guard and the Dreadnought as well. He's done his run moves and flat out moves as well, so they moved quite far. They've gone from here to here. One Razorback team is now over and on this objective, and then the other objective for the Blood Angels is just there. So we can move on now to Tyranids turn 1. Right, turn 1 for Tyranids. We're rolling up for the Tervigon. He's bred 12 more Gaunts. So maybe you're wondering, well, have I got enough figures? Yes, I have. I've got a whole box full, so I'll be able to get through those. Alright, all my Gaunts are under here, so we'll keep spawning until we roll a double. Right, Tyranid turn 1. The Tervigons spawned 12 Gaunts, and they've come out and moved up. We've done our run moves here as well. So the Hive Tyrant's got a 6, he's run up this direction, and then he's moving up with these troops here. And the third one is just hiding behind here, and then the Carnifexes moved out to the right, and then they rolled a 4 for their run moves. So they've moved up in this direction, heading up towards the Blood Angels. What is the strategy at the moment? We're not entirely sure. We've got to see really when these Storm Ravens come on and then just try and react to them. Really just trying to mobilise a force together to move out across the table and then challenge his objectives whilst trying to survive his firepower. So really this game is going to adapt depending on the reserves that come on, when they come on and where they come on. So we're going to move on now. Night fighting's over. We're going to move on now to Blood Angels turn 2. Well, here's an interesting thing. James is just moving on here in turn 2, and we've just realised that the Tyranids have absolutely nothing that they can fire at Skyfire and nothing they can fire as snapshots. So as long as he remains in the air with these flyers, then we can't do any damage. The only chance we've got against him is to get him in combat when he tries to deploy his forces. So the only strategy really that we can do is to use the troops here, the cheap troops, as a screen, concede the fact that he is going to assault in, lose those units, and then counter-attack his units with the heavier units. That's really all I can do there. I can't stop him from coming in, but if we can huddle together, because he's got no template weapons, if we can huddle together and then counter-attack him when he does make his assault, then that's the best chance that we stand. I can't lose this Tervigon and the Gaunts here, otherwise the Tyranids will lose. Right, moving for the Blood Angels on turn 2. He shifted over and back a little bit. The Dreadnought is here, Sanguinary Guard are just amongst the rocks here, and then working together, the two Razorbacks and then the Predator Annihilator are just sitting here, just looking over the objective. They can move out to them later on in the game, just keeping out of trouble, keeping a good distance back from the Tyranids, which are there further up the table. And then this Storm Raven has arrived. It's flown on from here and is headed straight towards the Tervigon. So we're going to move on to shooting now for Blood Angels on turn 2. Right, Blood Angels shooting on turn 2. Very, very nasty from this one. No cover for me here, and he has dealt out 4 wounds from the multi-melter, las cannon and 2 blood rockets. They all hit, they all wounded, and I got no cover save at all. So that's nasty hits there on the Tervigon. A couple of casualties here on the Gaunts from heavy bolter fire, and then a wound here on the front Carnifex. That was from a las cannon on the Predator Annihilator. So pretty good shooting from the Blood Angels. I'm going to move on now to Tyranids turn 2. Right, Tyranny movement on turn 2. The Raveners have arrived just there. It's pretty good going. So there's a threat there now, and then coming around. The Tervigon has upped and moved in this direction, trying to blindside the firepower from over there, and just really got to concentrate on this fly coming in. So we've got a unit of Gaunts in front, one at the back here. That's the one that was spawned this turn. There's another one just sitting on the objective there, and the 4th one's just here. Tried to land the Trigon here. He scattered back 7, but he's landed safely. And then the Hive Tyrant and Tyrant Guard have moved up as well, just trying to combine our strength together. And then the Carnifexes have moved up in this direction. Coming around the table, we had a good hit from the Morlock. Morlock has burst up and killed 3 of the Sanguinary Guard. Coming through the cover there, that was a good result for the Tyranids. Right, there was no shooting for the Tyranids. They've just spread out and fanned out in this direction here. The Trigon's moved back a little bit. This one's moved up. The Hive Tyrant's moved through, and then we got 3 inches on these guys moving up behind the rocks as well. The Morlock stablery is, and then the Raveners have run 4 inches headed towards the Razorback team. So we're going to move on now to Blood Angels turn 3. Right, Blood Angels turn 3. The game is moving very fast. He's had the other flyer turn up, so you can see now both of these are moving in onto the Tyranid position. This one's flown in, that's carrying the Death Company and Death Company Dreadnought. This one's backed off and he's in hover mode, looking down, and no doubt they will finish off this Tervigon. There's not much I can do to protect that one. And then coming around the table, he's backed away from the Morlock. His jump infantry walked out of cover. And then his vehicles have also backed off right away from his objectives, so he's out of position. But the Terminators have deployed from the back here, and he is confident that he'll take out the Raveners there, and he probably will. They'll be destroyed. So he's a bit out of shape at the moment, but in a good position to deal with the Tyranid force. So we're going to move on now to shooting for the Blood Angels, and then we'll go into assaults. So it's Blood Angel shooting on turn 3. This is probably one of the best armies that we use on the channel. Good shooting. They've killed the mother. The brooding Tervigon has gone. It was firepower from this one. The mother has gone. And then more firepower coming down. It's those multi-melters and las cannons. Absolutely deadly. I'm in the open. I can't stop the wounds piling up. There's 2 more wounds done on this Tervigon as well. So we are being harassed by the air power of this Blood Angels force. Then coming around the other side, Morlock's done pretty well. Survived the shooting attacks from this lot and from the Predator, taking 1 wound. It's pretty good going. And then heavy bolter fire from this Razorback killed one of the Raveners. So effective and deadly shooting from the Blood Angels on turn 3, and we move into assaults. Raveners versus Terminators. Right, Blood Angels assaults then on turn 3. The Terminators have gone in. It's a face-off. 5 Terminators against 5 Raveners. The Raveners will go first. I doubt how much damage we can do, and then the Terminators will kill them, no doubt. And then there's more assaults than I thought. He's actually gone in. Dreadnought and Sanguinary Guard have piled in, are going to try and take out this Morlock. So we'll get those results resolved. Right, so we'll do this Ravener assault now. The Raveners go first, initiative 5, and they're 4 attacks each, and it's 2 sets of 5 and 10, so we're going to reroll misses. And at weapon skill 5, we're on freeze to hit, so there's a whole load to reroll here. That's those. That's a pretty good going. We'll just give a reroll for these ones as well. That's another few hits, not bad. So we had 20 attacks, so we've got 16 hits, which is alright. And then we want 4s to wound, so James's Terminators need to make 6 saves. Oh dear. So let's hope he gets 5 1s. Here we go. 1 died. And then we may as well just take the Raveners off. So we'll do his assault now. Right, here's the Sergeant, then he's rolling up. 4s to hit. 1 wound. 1 wound coming up, he's re-rolling. Nothing. So it's down to the Thunderhammer guys. So it's 9 attacks. He could mess this up. No, doesn't look like it. No, and he's got 5 hits. He's going to wipe me out unless he rolls a handful of 1s. He has. He has. He's got a 111. So he's actually only killed 2 Raveners. That is a surprise. Alright, results of the combats then. On Blood Angel's turn 3, Morlock's taken a wound and it killed one of the sanguinary guards, so that melee continues. And then over here was a surprise, the Raveners are still there, they've passed morale, they killed 1 Terminator, and then James has killed 2 Raveners in return. Right, Tyranid turn 3. We are reacting to this air power threat from here. So we've stopped advancing, we've formed a line of gaunts along here, just as a screen. Trigon has fallen back a little bit. Hive Tyrant just here. These guys on the objective. These guys coming around the back now, moving on towards this objective. Carnifexes have changed direction. They've gone from here and they're coming up through this alleyway as well. And then the swooping, flying Hive Tyrant has come on the table and has flown up to here, looking quite impressive on the table there. The Morlock's still locked in combat, and so are the Raveners. So we'll move on now to the Tyranid shooting and assaults on turn 3. We're halfway through the game. Right, it's just in the shooting phase here. No shooting, just some runs. The Carnifexes moved up through here in the Hive Tyrant. Trigon sat where he is, and then just this screen here. And these guys move around 5. And then what a blunder I made with the Tyranids. That flyer was in hover mode, and I didn't move out and assault it. Instead we fell back. Wasn't concentrating. It's one thing you learn in Warhammer 40,000, you have to concentrate on what you're doing. So it's a mistake by the Tyranids. His flyers got away. So the Dreadnought then, he piled on 3 wounds, just got the extra attack with the banner. And I couldn't save those, but the Morlock struck back and killed the last of the Sanguinary Guard. So, Sanguinary Guard, they look nice, but they are pretty rubbish, so they're in the army and they'll probably be out again. But anyway, that melee continues, hanging on with the last wound now with the Morlock against the Dreadnought. Maybe kill each other as they're on the same initiative step next turn, and then it was obvious the Raveners were wiped out. It didn't cause any casualties on the Terminators. James has consolidated back towards his flyer. So Tyranids taking nasty casualties. Blood Angels out of position, but they can rectify that. So in a way, yes, the game is swinging, or has swung, in favour of the Blood Angels. We'll move on now to Blood Angels turn 4. So turn 4 for the Blood Angels, they move in for the kill. It's just the problem with the Tyranids, they're just animals. This flyer's moved in. Yeah, just crabs on the beach, and James is going to stamp all over them. So this flyer's moved in. Is he in hover mode? No, he's flown up. So he's moved in position here to try and take out this Trigon. And then over here, this one's moved along. All his blood rockets are fired, but he's got shots at this swooping Hive Tyrant. And then coming around, that combat's still locked here with the Morlock. And then the Predator's moved in position to shoot up at the flying Hive Tyrant as well. And then the Razorback teams are clear and free to move away as well with their troops inside. Right, shooting for the Blood Angels on turn 4. Again, it's been deadly. He's dealt out 3 more wounds on the Trigon here, so we're sitting on 5, almost dead. Used up all his blood rockets now. This flyer is actually still in hover mode, but he managed to fire up and has caused a wound on this one. No damage down here, and then coming around, the las cannon from the Predator hit as well, but it didn't wound. So some damage. The assaults now, the only assault really, is the showdown between the Morlock and the Dreadnought. Which of those two will prevail? Right, we're going to let James go first. He's trying to get the last wound, so 2 attacks at 3+. He's got the 2 hits, so it's game over for the Morlock. Yeah, Morlock's gone. Will the Morlock be able to strike back? So we're going to go for a smash attacks. We're going to get 2 attacks. 4 pluses would be good. 6 and a 5. Now that is strength 10. So we're on, have to fight front armor because it's a walker. So we want 3+. Failed 1, penetrated once. He's got a hull point. A 3. So the Morlock's dead, but as he died, he tore off the Dreadnaught's arm in revenge. So James wins the combat there. So we're going to move on now to Tyranid turn 4. Right, Tyranid turn 4. Again, it's defensive for the Tyranids. We're just trying to protect the monstrous creatures here and just from the incoming melee attacks. Remember, the Death Company is still inside this fly of the Death Company Dreadnought. So we're looking perhaps to sacrifice a troop choice and try and keep the main guys alive. We've dropped a wound on here through regenerate, which is good news. So we've still got 2 wounds left now. These guys are sitting on this objective. These ones moving off to that one. Hive Tyrant, Hive Guard just here, and then the 2 Carnifexes are piling forwards looking to assault this flyer, which is actually in hover mode, so we should be able to take that one out. We better. And coming around here, the Hive Tyrant has gone into glide mode and has gone 12, looking perhaps to assault this Predator Annihilator. We hope we can make it into combat. It's about 7 inches to reach there. So we're going to move on to Tyranid shooting now on turn 4. Right, Tyranid turn 4 assaults and run moves as well. We're just still protecting the main creatures here. The Carnifexes roll a 7, so they have piled in now to this hovering flyer, which is a good move. These guys got a 6 and have moved on to the objective, so we're holding 2. And then we rolled a 9 for assaults, so this guy is all over the Predator. We'll see how we do in the assault phase. Right, assaults for the Tyranids on turn 4, some revenge. Excellent round from the Flying Hive Tyrant there. It's destroyed the Predator, blew it up. That was a good result. It's been replaced with a crater, and then coming around the other side, the other flyer in hover mode has gone, it blew up as well, and the 4 Terminators are just in the footprint there. So now it's going to be Terminators versus Carnifexes in Blood Angels turn 5. So that's all the assaults done. He's got 1 fly left with Death Company and the Dreadnought inside, still to release that combat power there. Still got some troops and the Warlord there and those Carnifexes and the Flying Hive Tyrant. So it's not all over yet. Still, it's kind of in favour of the Blood Angels at this stage. We'll move on now. Turn 5 will be pivotal for this game, and of course the game could end. He needs to get on objectives or the Blood Angels will lose. So we're going to move on now to Blood Angels turn 5. Alright, it's official. James misses the land ready. Wish he had it. But anyway, it's Blood Angels movement on turn 5. Terminators now are here, ready for a showdown between these 2 Carnifexes. And he's ignored this stuff. He's conceded the point that he'll lose on turn 5 if the game ends. So he's trying to prepare for future turns. Death Company headed off in this direction. And he's brought his twin-link laser cannon round to fire at this guy here. And the Dreadnought and Razorback as well. He wants to kill this HQ choice and then try and set him up, try and set himself up to hold his 2 objectives on later turns. So we're going to move on now to Blood Angels shooting on turn 5. Can this Hive Tyrant survive? and then the assaults as well. So turn 5, Blood Angels shooting. Remember, he's taking this risk here that the game will continue. So his Razorbacks manoeuvred around this one here, just in a position. He'll be able to claim the objectives next turn. And shooting from here, one wound caused by this Dreadnought, and then the last cannon shot being fired down has killed the winged Hive Tyrant, which is a shame, but that's gone. So we're going to move on now to assaults. It's a classic. Assault Terminators versus Carnifexes. Right, so out of the smouldering wreck of the flyer come the 4 assault Terminators to take on these 2 Carnifexes here. It's simultaneous. He's going through cover. We are initiative 1, so it's going to be simultaneous hits between us. Who do you think is going to prevail in this combat? If ever there was a classic clash in Warhammer 40,000, it's this Carnifexes versus Terminators. So we're going to roll it up and you can watch as we see this pivotal combat right at the heart of this showdown between Tyranids and Blood Angels. We just don't know what the result's going to be. We'll do the Tyranid attack first. I get 8 attacks in total. I've got a pair of Scything Talons, so we're going to re-roll these 3 here. 4s, that is good going. Now we're at strength 9, so we want 2s to wound. Drop that 1. So we'll let James do his saves. Right, what we're going to do, James is going to put the hits on his Thunderhammer Storm Shield Terminators first. He's going to roll 1 at a time down the line. So he's got 6 saves to make. First one coming up is a 3, so it's a pass. Oh boy, here we go. Next one. It's a 4. He's passed. It's a 2. He has lost the first Terminator. Next one coming in. A 5 is a pass. Next one. 6 is a pass. And the last one, 1 or a 2 would be handy. He's got the 2. So another one down. So killed 2 Terminators. And those left. He still gets all his attacks. So that's a good result for the Carnifexes. But now he's going to strike back. If he gets a good roll, then these Carnifexes are in trouble. Lightning Claws first he wants to do. So he's got those hits there, 3 hits, yeah. Looking for 6s. He's going to do re-rolls with the pair. And he's got 1. And there's no save allowed, so that's a wound so far. 9 attacks and 3s to hit. So there's a couple of misses here. Ooh. 5 hits. And he doesn't want any 1s here, it's important he gets his result. Yes. 5 wounds, plus the extra is 6, so he has taken 3 wounds on this Carnifex, which is now gone, and then 3 remaining wounds on the last one, so almost dead on that Carnifex there. So that melee continues. The Carnifexes did take bad hits there. One's gone and the other one's almost dead, but 2 Terminators down. Won't complain at that. So that melee will continue into Tyranid turn 5. So that's all the assaults done. We're going to move on now to Tyranid's turn 5. The game could end at the end of this turn. Right, Tyranid turn 5. The melee continues there, and the Hive Tyrant Guard have moved up to pile into that combat there. Be handy to wipe out those Terminators and free up those units. And then over here, 2 units here hovering around this objective, and then 2 units of gaunts on this one. This guy's dropped another wound, and he's just moving up in this direction, awaiting the possible attack by the Death Company. So no shooting for the Tyranids. We're going to go straight into run moves and assaults now. Right, so just some run moves here. There's 2 units. There's one just at the edge of the terrain and one right swarming all over the objectives. There's 2 troops there, and then the same over here. There's one on the objective and then one just behind. And then the Trigon has moved up an extra 6 inches on a run move. So that's us sitting there on the objectives. And now in the assault phase, the Hive Tyrant Guard have charged in. So 1 Terminator and Terminator Sergeant left against this dying Carnifex and the avenging Hive Tyrant. So we're going to work out that combat now. We're going to let James go first. He's going to do his lightning claw attacks against the Carnifex. Going to try and finish it off. So roll that up. He's got 2 hits. And he wants 6s and re-rolls. He's got the 6, he's killed it. That's smart going with the Sergeant there. So that's the end of the Carnifex. Now we'll get our attacks back before we die. And then the Thunderhammer guy, yeah, he's going to try and take out the Hive Guard. So he wants 4s to hit. Double 2, he's not. So we'll see if we can finish these off now. We'll do the Carnifex in revenge. So we are on 4s we want, yes. 2s to wound. 3 saves. He'll put him on the Thunderhammer first. So first save, please. There it comes. A 3 is passed. Next one failed, and so it's a 5+ invuln. Gone. The avenging Carnifex has wiped out the Terminators. So we'll consolidate this one, and then we will roll to see if the game continues. So the Hive Tyrant Guard have consolidated an inch just on the what's left of the burning wreck of the flyer, and the Tyranids are just sitting on the objective. So as it stands, James will lose. He's going to roll up now. This could be a shock result. A 2, it's game over. It is a shocking win for the Tyranids. Game ends on turn 5. So points results. James got first blood, so he got a point for that, and it's as simple as that. The Tyranids are sitting on 1, 2 objectives, so 6-1 the final score for the Tyranids.